Hello, welcome back to the bet. This is check-in episode. Check-in for month fucking 10. I cannot believe we're at month fucking 10, which makes me feel all kinds of ways. It makes me feel really, really, really proud of myself for continuing to show up every single week and talk about what I'm going through for 10 months. And I also feel pressure, this feeling of there's only 2 months left for whatever results, for whatever energy is supposed to reveal itself is going to be revealed. I think there's a part of me that's still in like fairy tale little girl reading a most amazing storybook that thinks I've been doing all of this for the last 10 months and my big Prince Charming moment is going to come through. Except in this case, Prince Charming is not a person. It is my business just taking off, right? There's still that kind of hope that this is how it's all going to be, which is interesting that the word hope just came out of my mouth right now because in my human design circuitry, there's different motivations that we can all have. My particular motivation is guilt, which sounds awful, but it's really not as bad. I had a real aversion to that word when I first learned of this. Basically, people who are energetically motivated by guilt, it means that when you do have a feeling of guilt, it is because you know there is something that you can do to make the problem better or to contribute to the situation or to provide a fix. When I think of it that way, I'm okay with guilt because now I realize, okay, if I am feeling any guilt over something, it's because there's actually something I can do about it. Everyone else who doesn't have guilt motivation can just ditch the guilt, pretty much. That is out of alignment for you, as a little side note. But the interesting part here, why I'm connecting this to hope is the transference energy of guilt. So some people have hope motivation, and they are meant to really lean into this hope and this faith that everything's going to work out without them having to do anything about it. When I start feeling that way, I know I am completely out of alignment with my proper motivation. And I think, why didn't I get hope? I know people who have hope motivation, and they are always trying to fix things or do more or contribute more, which is guilt, right? They're transferring their energy into the guilt motivation. And here I am like transferring mine into the hope motivation. So anytime I find myself saying, oh, I just hope that this comes through, it's like, oop, might want to do a little alignment check. Okay, how did I get so off track there? Let's turn it to the numbers this week. Because again, I'm feeling two different ways about everything. June was such a big month for me personally in terms of having some real identity breakthroughs, having some real expansion in terms of leaning into my authenticity and just not giving a fuck anymore about what people think of me. Of course, that's still there. That layer is always there, but I feel like I'm at a new comfort level with exposure and visibility and having to engineer things in terms of marketing, just letting go of all of that and letting myself really ground into, am I showing up saying what I truly believe will be helpful for others and letting whatever else kind of happens around that just happen. It showed up in my numbers in different ways. In terms of Instagram, I went up to 11,000 views this month, which is more than double what it was in May. I think it was at 5,000 total views. Let me look at my notes. Yeah, it was 5,000 views last month, up to 11,000. And I think that's literally just from the math of producing content every day because I made 41 pieces of content compared to 23. So that's a pretty straight increase. I gained 20 new followers, but I had an overall loss of 10. So net negative 10, which means I lost 30 people in the month of June, which is hard to not attribute to my little daily authenticity reels. I guess one of the things I expected to happen is that people would find this totally not interesting. And I don't need to watch some lady chat about whatever it is she's having in her day. It was interesting because June was all about focusing on just whatever I wanted to say authentically. I didn't have some clear message that I was connected to in terms of points that I wanted to help people realize and work through. And I wasn't there to teach people things necessarily. So I get that. I get why the viewership would go down. I guess the total number of views went up, but the number of followers went down. So that actually was not a surprise to me. I actually thought I would lose more people than that. And as I'm moving into July, I am letting my content really just go back to being connected to my core messaging, which is learning the operating system of the mind. I also made the decision to invest in working with a fellow that I knew from my mastermind who really geeks out about messaging. There's a lot of work I need to do to set this whole engine and system up in terms of really getting clear on my audience and my messaging and the things I want to say. But he's going to help me come up with different content angles. He has grown several audiences like rapidly. So I'm open to trying something like that. I haven't done it yet. I literally just invested in it a couple days ago because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't making the purchase thinking I need this in order to grow my audience. I wanted to make sure it was an investment in learning a skill and a technique that helps me get better at communicating the things I already care about communicating. There was a time where I just felt like I didn't know what the system was. I didn't know what I should be doing, or I was feeling like I really needed to learn what hooks were and lean on the use of buyer psychology, even though I wasn't necessarily trying to sell something all the time. And I don't feel that way anymore. I truly, genuinely feel that just showing up authentically is how I best connect with people. But I do want to be better at getting very clear in my communication. That's my intention for investing in this container. Okay, let's talk about my Substack next. It's interesting there. I gained 7 subscribers in June, which was up from, I think the month before I gained 2 subscribers. And in April, I had none. So that's really good. That feels like a more of a meaningful jump. And I feel like it all happened in the last couple days of June. I'd have to go back and look. And then my followers also went up from 87 to 108. So that's 21 new followers. And that all happened basically in the last few days of June. And I think that's because when I finished my visibility project on Instagram, I've pivoted to Substack. So I am now challenging myself to show up there every day in terms of writing a little note. It's a very different format than making videos. And the reaction was almost immediate. I could see new subscribers coming in and new followers and people interacting with me that I had no idea who they were. So I'm really thinking July is going to teach me a lot about how Substack works because I've really only been using it to publish my weekly articles. I have not explored these other pathways in it. So I think July will give me a lot of data with that, letting myself be seen on Substack outside of just posting articles to my existing audience. So that's my plan there. My 30-day views also went up to 434. I think it was a 12% growth over May. That's nice numbers too. I'm glad some area of my life is growing with my business because I really am pointed at where can I see the growth? Because I had a super mind fuck over my Useful Thinking podcast, which is like my baby. That and my Substack are both babies, but Useful Thinking is the newest baby. It's been 3 months. And as of the end of June, I had 466 downloads. And the reason I had a little freak out over that was because I pulled up the graph to look at the numbers by the month, and I saw my numbers for April, May, and June on a bar graph. And each month it looked like the downloads were going down approximately by 50%, which when I looked at the data made me really, really, really sad. I'm actually getting a little emotional thinking about it again. I immediately went to one of my frequent flyer beliefs, my little frequent flyer thoughts that love to fly through my head that said, no matter what I do or how much I care, I don't get to have the same results other people have. Right? I am used to seeing a graph go the other way. Like in my mind, it should be going up, maybe not shooting up, but there should be some kind of growth every month. So the second month didn't mess with me too much when I saw it dip, but then to see it dip hard in the third month, I was like, oh, that was hard for me. So I don't know how much of that is energy and how much of that is strategy, because at the same time, at the end of June is when I decided to pivot and add in the human design layer. Okay, so I don't know, but I'm wondering, could the reason the number of downloads has gone down for 3 months in a row now be tied to me not being fully authentic with that podcast? I don't know. We're going to look at the numbers in July. I'm doing a truck ton of mindset work right now about separating those metrics from representing the quality of the actual work I'm doing. I do believe that these numbers of downloads or your numbers of views that you get on Instagram, or the number of engagement posts that you get, all of that does measure the resonance that people feel with something. But it does not actually measure the value and the quality of the work that I produce. And I have to really sit with that and think, is my current audience or the current people who are listening, do they resonate with what this content is? Is this interesting to them? I went and looked at a bunch of people's Substacks. I don't know how to look at people's podcast numbers, but I went and looked at a bunch of people's Substacks who have 40, 50, 60,000 subscribers. As I'm sitting with my, what do I have? 87. I'm looking at them compared to my 78 subscribers. See, I don't even know how much I have. And I looked at their content and it was abundantly clear to me that the bulk of it is written by AI. So clear to me. And I think, is that what people resonate with? I can't even read it without just almost feeling allergic to it. My biggest task right now is to tell myself that anything could happen at any moment. And 3 months is really too small of a sample size to let this tell me how things are going to be. One of the guiding principles that I plug into is that I do not let a circumstance tell me how my reality is going to be. I refuse to let any kind of circumstance or situation or external factor tell me how it's going to be. I'm not going to let the fact that I only have 466 downloads of useful thinking tell me that this thing is never going to take off. Those two variables do not go together. I am going to tell the podcast how it's going to be. So that is what I am literally working on right now, is holding this vision of 10,000 downloads, 10,000 downloads, and then 100,000 downloads. I see the same thing with my Substack, 100,000 subscribers. That's what I'm pointed at. And the work right now is to hold the faith there. Hold the faith there. This is exactly what I teach in Irresistible Mind Curriculum. We go over the whole Dunning-Kruger curve and that graph that shows how much initial excitement we get. And then when we start doing the work, how things plummet. And we hit what I call the valley of despair, where it doesn't look like it's working. And this is where people quit. And this is the moment where if you just keep going, you hit what I call the moment of truth, where you're just about to build the new actual belief system to carry you the rest of the way up your graph again. It's hard to explain on a podcast. I feel like I need a slideshow to show you guys this. But it was funny because looking at the bet graph, it's literally, I see, oh, I'm falling into the valley of despair. I've come off my top of my ego mountain where I just thought this is the most amazing thing. It's going to be so amazing. I'm doing so great at this. Like I'm putting out my best work ever. And then the results are not lining up with that. So I will not be deterred though. I will not let that circumstance tell me how it's going to be. All right. In terms of the bet, this current podcast that you're listening to, I don't know why I include this in the measurements because it's really not about this, but it's a good way to document it all. We are at 1,250 total downloads for this little project of mine. So that's really interesting. Another thing that was odd, I saw there were 2 different days this month in June. One where I had like 52 downloads in one day. That's never happened. And then another day, a couple weeks later, where it was like 30 something downloads. Huge spikes on those days. I don't know what that's all about. Usually it's more of an even rhythm and pattern going on through the month. So I'm going to look and see if that happens again in July. It also is good for me to see because I was like, oh, that could happen for useful thinking. I could have a spike like that at any moment. Literally, it could happen at any moment. Okay, that's my numbers for the month. And that's where I'm pointed right now. I am pointed at continuing to build the skills, showing up consistently. I'm being more visible on Substack. I'm going to continue to make my posts on Instagram, except I'm going through a content strategy with this other content coach I'm working with that I knew from my mastermind. And we charge ahead. We charge ahead. We got 2 months left to see what happens. Even as I'm saying that, it's like, ooh, that feels so arbitrary. The other thing I want to do, I forgot about this. I really, I haven't done this in a while. I am going to get out my journal and really get crystal clear on what I would have to finally believe for these things to happen to me. That's one of my favorite questions to ask. What would I need to finally believe in order for these things to happen? My 100,000 downloads. And really live into thinking about that, what that future version of me believes. And so I can tap into that and borrow her mindset. Because right now it's looking really bleak. I'm also so glad I am recording all of this because I was thinking a couple of days ago, I was like, maybe you don't have that many people listening to this story right now. But let's say even 2 years from now, I do blow up my audience. Like my audience grows to this big size, this 100,000 vision that I have. It will be wonderful to be able to say, look, you can go back and listen to this old podcast. That's a year of my life, moving myself forward every damn week, even when I didn't want to. Oh my gosh. Another thing that happened this week. I can't believe I forgot. I don't know how I got sucked into buying this, but I did. There was an ad that popped up on Instagram, and I forget what it was called, but it was like your natural forces report or something. It was from an astrologist. It was $33. I can't believe I bought this. It is the most awful thing I've ever purchased. It was supposedly based on her proprietary system for using your astrology and your human design and your actual address, like where you live, your astrocartography, I think it's called, your numerology of your house, the city, what year you moved there, like all these factors you plug into this thing and it generates a report. And I was excited to read it, thinking, okay, what are my strengths and like, what are the things I could shift? And I got a fucking F grade, like a grade of F on the 3 different pillars of my life. I got to pause this real quick because I'm going to pull this up. Hold on. Okay. It's called an invisible forces report. And the 3 domains were, let's see, the first one here is my alignment score. I got a fucking F. Not only that, the report says if I don't address this This configuration is going to persist 13 more years through 2039. I mean, it was like, are you fucking kidding me? You're saying my current alignment is at an F and that this is going to last for another 13 years? My structure is an F, my timing is an F, and my environment is an F. So I got to change all those things, apparently. What else did I get a shitty grade on? Oh, my energetic blueprint, thank you very much, is an F. I pride myself on managing my energy. So that was really interesting. I only got one C grade. I forget what that was in. I read this and I was like, this is engineered to get me to freak the fuck out that if I don't buy her trainings or work with her coaches or focus on all these points in my life that you're pointing out, that I'm going to be stuck and fucking screwed for the next 13 years. And I feel like I have done enough work that I was literally able to just laugh at this. I found this comical. I actually shut it because I didn't want it in my awareness at all. I was like, this is ridiculous. I know for a fact that astrology can be very useful. I know for a fact numerology can be very useful. So I feel like this has got to be some shady shit that I purchased. And usually I'm really good at detecting that. So that happened this week, not surprisingly, the same day where I was having my little mini meltdown over my figures over the podcast. So this is just another lesson to me that you do not need something external to tell you how it's going to be. Because I guarantee you, I am not an actual F at any of those things. This just proves she probably has developed some kind of quiz or a system that will find some way to give everybody an F. I would like to see everybody's invisible forces report and see if anyone gets anything above an F. That's what I would like to see. I don't know why I did that, but I did. And I thought I want to share it with you all. Do not order that if it shows up on your Instagram feed. I don't like to talk bad about people, so I won't say who it is. And I don't want to talk bad about her because I wish all people success. And something in me told me to buy it. So it's totally on me. But there's no way I am buying into that. No way I'm believing that. And also, I think if this person is making money, oh, I know what it was. She had this ad. She was saying she's worked with so many people, like high level, high profile celebrities and top people. She's signed so many NDAs that, where she's unlocked things for these millionaires. I don't know why I bought that shit, but I did. I was like, oh, she's worked with really successful people and she knows what invisible forces were blocking them. And she was saying how you can shift these 3 different factors in your life and like 10x all your results. I was like, $33. Okay, why not? I can part with that. And the minute I read the report, I was like, Laura, how many times do you need to learn this lesson? How many times do you need to learn this lesson? This is garbage. Another example of garbage where I will not let something external tell me how it's going to be. So I'm almost embarrassed for admitting this, but I also want it in the documentation for eventual future people to hear that we all fall for this shit. We all fall for the tool that tells us if you just change this one little thing, if we just put a flashlight on this thing that you can't see right now, I'm going to shine the flashlight on it. And if you fix that, then the heavens gates open and you get all your blessings and your goodies. We really love believing that. Or maybe it's just me with my transferred human design hope, where I still have a part of me that hopes there is something out there that's going to unlock everything for me. Okay, so that feels like the perfect way to end month 10's check-in. That's where I'm at this month. And despite all of that I just shared with you, I am quite literally more convinced than ever that all of this is going to work out for me. I had many moments this week where I also felt like this is literally shifting. I can feel it. I feel so much less uncertainty about trying to figure out the right way forward. I've had a lot of moments where I can just see the next 2 or 3 levels happening for me. That's my wrap up. Again, I'm really walking away from using any kind of outlines or scripts. So thank you for hanging with me authentically, following my little ping pong ball thoughts as they go all over the place sometimes. But again, this is my personal documentation system that I want to capture this year, everything I did in it. So I truly do thank you for even wanting to be a part of that. It means so much to me. As always, keep showing up for your own life. Keep moving forward. You are on the perfect path, and always bet on yourself.